your nervous system. Besides physically working out, I also train my mind to do and my emotions to do what's most difficult. And I do that in all kinds of ways. I like to play at my edge. That's how you get better. So I demand to myself. But the first thing I do every morning as part of that ritual is I jump in a jacuzzi, which loosens the muscles, and then I jump in freezing cold water. I have a cold plunge, if you would. It's 57 degrees, and I pop into that thing. I also, for recovery's sake, I use cryotherapy, which was developed in Europe. It's amazing. A lot of athletes around the world are using it now. And it lowers your body temperature using nitrogen. So if there's no water on you, or you would freeze to death, or you would burn. By using these gases, it brings the temperature down in your body down to minus 225 Fahrenheit, which is wild, for 3 minutes. And what it does is it resets your whole nervous system, and it takes all the inflammation out of your body. So I'm on stage, and I'll do 27 miles on my most intense day of a 3-day program. So I'm doing multiple days, an ultra marathon. Because I'm not standing there talking. People would not come. People won't sit for a 3-hour movie someone spent $300 million on to make for 2 hours. They're going to stay with me for 50 hours of a weekend. I got to deliver, right? And I got, the Paul Tudor Joneses of the world in there, the Oprah Winfrey's, and Oprah tells me, Tony, I love you, but I can't sit anywhere for more than 2 hours. At the end of 12 hours, you're standing in your chair going on camera. This is one of the greatest experiences of my life. Well, to do that, you aren't standing still. I'm plunging the audience. I'm doing things. I'm spontaneous. So that's a lot of miles. So I'm literally doing a marathon, and I go into this machine, and 3 minutes later, I come out, and the next day, it's like, instead of all these aches and pains and tears, I'm recovered. So I'm always looking for technology that can enhance my ability to perform and produce greater results and also stay healthy.
All right, so I wanted to use that video of how Tony Robbins starts every morning, because I wanted you to have some sort of understanding or a visual of what a ritual is. What a morning routine, a handshake, can be considered a ritual. It doesn't have to be seen necessarily as something that is always found in the context of religion. But since we are going to look at rituals in the context of the religion of Buddhism, and because we want to be able to start to visualize the relationship between rituals, sacred texts, doctrines and beliefs, religious experiences, and ethics and moral conduct, we need to look at what a ritual is, key components to rituals, and then finally rituals as they are regarded in Buddhism. So first, some background to rituals. Rituals give concrete or dramatic expression to beliefs within a social and cultural setting. Some rituals will instill order in the world, and they make present the transcendent. Something that is not of this physical material realm, something that is godlike and spiritual. Ritual space and objects enable the believer to move beyond the ordinary functions of life and to communicate with other members of the group and with the tradition. Rituals play a central role in religious traditions, but like we saw with Tony Robbins, they also play a central part of everyday life. Many of the day-to-day gestures like handshakes and greetings can be described as rituals. Jumping into a the gas chamber. I guess that can be a ritual to some. I'm not necessarily advocating or promoting that you go out and buy something like that. But we've all witnessed elaborate rituals such as the opening ceremony of the Olympic Games, the inauguration of a president, or a graduation ceremony. Such events are of a special significance, and they are marked by a special ceremony and ritual. And so when we're looking at these rituals, we also want to observe the color that's used, the style, the position of symbols, because these can provide powerful clues about about the meaning behind the ritual. So next, let's look at the key components to rituals. There's a number of things that usually make up a ritual or ceremony. The first is time. Time is pretty straightforward. This is the specific and significant moments in which a ritual take place. Speaking of place. This is the space demarcated for the encounter between the divine and human worlds. Sometimes rituals and ceremonies take place in a church, in a temple, in a mosque. They can take place in a variety of different places. The next would be participants. The participants in a ritual, a religious ritual, usually include the divine power or powers, the ritual experts, and the initiated community. So we're looking at in Buddhism, the Sangha. The next one would be the charter. This is authentication in the sacred writings. Starting to visualize that relationship between rituals and sacred texts. The set form is the next component to rituals and ceremonies. This is the inner logic and pattern acceptable to the divine and established in the sacred text. So maybe when we're looking at the three baskets, looking at the logic and the patterns that are acceptable to how to live in a monastery, or how to give a Theravada monk the proper funeral. As mentioned before, the symbol system is a key component to rituals. So words, objects, actions, gestures, music, and songs. This is essentially a rubric that's handed down by tradition as to how the ritual should take place. There is a hierarchy. We do want to look at the role relations. This is the allocation of roles that reflect the authority between maybe the lay community and the monastic community. And then finally, the transformation. The transformation could also be seen as a religious experience. This is the climax of the pivotal moment, which affects a transformation of the worshipers or of the world. So when we talk about Buddhism and rituals, some important notes to keep in mind. Buddhism incorporates a variety of rituals and practices which are intended to aid in the journey to enlightenment and bring blessings on oneself or others. This is not meant to purify the mind. Remember that Buddhists believe that the purification of the mind can only come internally. Some other things to make sure that we remember or make sure that we can observe when looking at these rituals is that Buddhists use special objects to focus their meditation, like beads or Buddhist statues, and that ceremonies and dates, they can vary from country to country, from region to region, and from sect to sect. And so there are certain rituals and holidays that are called are pan-Buddhist, that they are practiced by all people of the Buddhist community. And then you will have specific holidays and ceremonies according to each branch of Buddhism. And so we definitely want to be able to distinguish, is this a Theravada, is this a Mahayana, is this a Vajrayana Buddhist ceremony, or is this something that all Buddhists celebrate? Where do we find the authority in the sacred text for this religious ceremony or ritual? What doctrine or belief is being showcased here? What does a religious experience look like? And then finally, what are some religious laws or principles that are set into place that will guide somebody's morality and their behavior? So we definitely, when we start to look at these ceremonies and these rituals, we want to make sure that we're able to visualize the relationship among all 5 themes. If you look at the blog attached to this video, you will also see a PowerPoint. This PowerPoint is essentially the notes and the nuts and bolts of all 5 themes. I won't go too much into depth, but this is going to be a good starting off point as far as the vocab and what the IB wants you to know at the very, very least. This is not what I expect you to know. I expect you to know more, but at the very least, this is how the IB program has broken up each of the 5 themes. So make sure that you spend some time and become familiar with that PowerPoint. Thank you.